What is up, you guys? We are back today with a little maintenance on the Streetfighter here, but we got to get this turd out of the garage first, so let's get that going. All right, now that thing's out, let's get the Streetfighter in place. We got the bike all lined up. Things have changed since last time. Now I have a rear and front stand. So now I'm going to get those in place and show you guys how we get them on. You guys saw that in the last one. However, I have a new stand. That's a front paddock stand that goes from the triple tree, so you guys don't have to put it underneath the forks. Now that's super helpful because you can do your suspension, you can do your brakes, you can do all that stuff without needing to sketchily support it underneath the forks. So let's get this thing up on the stands, and I'll catch you guys after that's done. Best thing about these is you can just slide it like that, put the wheel on. Way less risky than the regular types of stands for dual-sided swing arms. Look at that, easy. And now that it's on there, we could put it onto the front stand. One thing to make sure is that you don't have it on the front stand before it's on the back stand. They say you cannot use this front stand without a back stand. I'll get you guys a closer look here real quick. All right, so this pin here goes into the triple tree right about here. There's actually a dust cover on there. I'll pop off and it slides in there, and then you just pull it up and the whole thing lifts the front wheel. Let's do it. All right. This is what that little dust cover looks like. Again, you don't need the front stand for doing this, but it is kind of nice to utilize. Oh, might be a little tall for it, but that'll be okay for the oil to run out better, you know? Now, look at all this room we have under here. It's awesome for oil changes. Kind of ironic I'm doing an oil change in my Tesla spot. Thought that was kind of ironic. I'm just gonna use a 14 wrench to crack this open. And this time I won't spill oil all over my exhaust cover, shroud, whatever, because I have the Amazon exhaust now, so, or the eBay, I guess. Whatever you want to call it. This is perfect. Look at that. Oil's still nice and green too. That's that Motul 700V. Luckily, very little metal shavings. I guess you won't be able to see up close too much. Maybe on this camera you will better. But very, very little metal shavings. So that's a good sign. All right, so now as that's draining, we want to get the oil filter out. So in that one, we had a 14 mil drain plug. And I believe these are not that size, they're bigger. These are 5 millimeters right here. We'll take those out real quick. I'm trying to give you guys all the angles here, just so you can see my mess ups. Also, I should advise this should be done with the oil warm already. That way it flows out the best. Kind of skipped over that part, but that can be important to some. Took my gloves off to go get the sockets for this, and I'm now thinking that was a bad idea. So I'm gonna probably put my little gloves back on. So feel free to make fun of me in the comments below. Also make fun of me for sweating so much. It is like, I don't know, a little over 90 degrees with a ton of humidity today. So it feels like Florida in Pennsylvania. And I don't know, not loving it. I live in PA for a reason. I don't want to have Florida weather. I'm not that type of person. But anyway, if you are, that's awesome. Great riding weather year round, but for me, yeah, it's a lot of friggin' humidity. So now we're gonna take these out and not drop them into the oil, hopefully. That's the biggest thing. Hoping I don't block the view for the camera here. 1, 2, 3. And a lot of times this, I have the Evotech oil sump guard. A lot of times this will stick a little. You just gotta give it a little love there, it'll come off. Now this one is a little tricky because with this, you have to run bolts in to drive this out, and I'll explain. Just give me a sec to grab the bolts. I don't think these are them, but I will check. Oh yeah, they are. Now, to be fair, I don't know what size these are because I bought these last oil change, but you can go to my other oil change video and see what size these are, but they thread into just the cap that goes on the end here. So they help to push this out so you don't have to tug on it, which is super helpful. As long as you can thread it in. There we go. And then you just work your way out with it. Should not be hard to do. I say not hard, but it actually is starting to get hard. So let me get a wrench for these guys. So as I said, the more you force these in, the more it pushes the cap out. Try not to block the view so you guys can see here. Just want to do it nice and evenly. You'll know because some, the ones that need twisted will be loose or looser than the others. You just want to do it nice and evenly the whole way out here. That one has quite a bit of tension, this one doesn't, so I know this one needs spun more. Eventually you'll hit a point where it'll either plop out or you can actually pull it with these. Right now, we're not at that point yet. There we go. Now they're getting easier, so I know it's getting close to coming out here. Here we go. And that's it. Easy peasy, as you can see by my sweat pouring down my face. Super easy. And the oil filter's in there. You just gotta pull it. There we go. See, make fun of my gloves, but well, hold on. I was gonna say, look what I can do, but now I can't grab my glove. So, haha to me. See, make fun of my gloves, but I can do this. Look at that. Boom, clean. And you let that drain for quite a long time. Now, Ducati says to let this thing drain for like 2.5 to 3 hours minimum, because the way the sump works in the engine, it takes a very long time for the oil to get down to the pan and out. So I'm gonna let this drain for the next couple hours. It is 5:30 right now. And I'll catch up with you guys probably around 7:30, 8 o'clock-ish. And we'll put this thing back together. All right, we are finally back. It is about 7:45. It's been a little over 2 hours letting this thing drain. I know they said wait about 2.5 to 3, but this thing is not dripping anymore. I mean, it is crystal clear. So, well, by crystal clear, I mean there's no ripples in the oil. It hasn't dripped for a long time. So now that all that is out, we'll clean up the surfaces here, plop a new filter in, tighten the drain, and then fill it up. So let's get to doing that. We'll just want to, get the oil off some of the surfaces. Nothing too crazy. And then clean up this bottom part here. We're actually gonna take these bolts out because we don't need them anymore. They are very handy though, because otherwise you'd be putting a screwdriver in there. That wouldn't be fun. So I'm glad that they make it like this. It's kind of weird for Italian manufacturers to make it, user friendly, but I think it's because Ducati became part of Audi, and ironically, like Lamborghini, they all own Ducati. So I think they kind of adopted some of those concepts from them to make stuff a little easier, even though Germans are not known for being easy to work on either. But let's drain the rest of what's left in this cap here. And then we're gonna use a pick to get the O-rings off of here, because the kit that you buy, I bought this kit off Amazon, but it ships from a Ducati dealer. It comes with a filter and the drain plug crush washer and 2 O-rings. And you always want to replace those every time you change your oil, just so they're fresh. So we got our pick here. I'll open the O-rings that they gave. Hopefully you guys can see on the camera there. If not, I'll just have to try and zoom with that one out there, but we'll see. So you have 2 O-rings, basically here and here. We'll pick each of those off. There's one, there's 2. And then when you put the new ones on, it's always a good idea to get a little bit of film of oil on there so that it can seal, which again, seems counterintuitive to put old oil on it, but trust me, this won't be in contact with really anything that it'll matter. So put it on. My hands are all slippery from the oil. Next, same thing, a little dab will do ya. Work it around the O-ring, put it in that second slot, or that top slot. There you go. Now there is an orientation to this as well. If you'll see, there's 2 that are closer to each other and one that's further. The further one goes toward the front. So it'll orient like this. So what we'll do now, before I forget because I'm forgetful, we're gonna put the filter in. That way I know it's in, because these ones you don't physically see the filter in there. So we get this new filter. There's a hole on one end, and then there's a dead end over here. And what you'll do is put the part with the hole up and in here, and it literally just pops right in. Just stick it there. You'll feel a, wait for it. Oh, I already snapped it, sorry. You guys don't get the satisfying thunk. It normally thunks in, but it's in, so then once you have that done, and this part can be a pain because last time this did not want to seat very well. So you take that one that's further apart toward the front of the bike and you put it up and in, kind of work it around a little bit. Don't do that like I just did because I'm an idiot. Probably a good idea to move the oil pan away from this on second thought. Good thing I have gloves, I guess. I did not want to reach down there because this is all plastic. This wouldn't have been very easy to fish back out of there. Got that pretty much clean. We're gonna move this now so I don't drop it on it again. With enough force, it'll eventually go, but it can be a real pain in the butt to get up in there. Once you've got that first O-ring seated, it can be a little difficult to get the second one. So what I'll do is I'll draw it up with the bolts that hold this sump guard on. Fortunately, no gouges or anything, so I haven't hit any large bumps to where it would have scraped, but that is a worry, and that's why you get it. Please get a sump guard if you have a Streetfighter. Definitely a must for these bikes. So put this bolts through, just like so, and what you can do is you just draw the cover up with these bolts. You just have to, again, do it evenly so that they all go up nicely together. And the spec on these is good and tight. You gotta remember going into I think it's a magnesium pan, so you gotta keep that in mind. You gotta have your calibrated elbow. That's really the hardest part. Now, we get the supplied crush washer with the kit. That goes just right onto the oil drain plug here. And this oil drain plug, again, I cleaned it off and cleaned that surface there. It goes right in. Get that one good and tight, just enough so you can crush that crush washer. Now we gotta fill it. So as you can see here, sight glass is completely empty, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna fill it until it reaches that middle mark right there. So what we'll do is we'll start it after we get to that max fill level, let it run, get all the oil through it, and then it has to sit, preferably for another couple hours, but it's getting late here, so I'm just gonna check it the next morning and get back with you guys. So let's get the oil in it, let's get it started, and then it'll just have to sit. But for you guys, it'll be like less than a minute. Sorry, it's in your guys' way. Undo this oil cap here, and it should take almost the entire jug of this mow tool, which is, I believe, almost 4 liters. Yeah, but again, we got to keep a watch because I think last time I overfilled it a little bit, which can be an issue that leads to water pump failure on these bikes. I love the way they do these jugs. It's actually pretty cool. Nice pour spout. I don't know if I trust it enough to not use a funnel though. Well, no, we're not going to do that because if I spill it over the engine case, I'm going to be mad at myself. Takes a while because this thing, one, it necks down to such a small size, but also this container keeps glugging, so maybe it isn't the best design. I don't know, it is kind of nice to have a pour nozzle though. Check this side. Not even touching the glass, so there's nothing to show you guys yet. Some people are super scientific with this. They'll weigh it out, you know, however much they take out is how much they put in. I don't do that, mostly because, well, in this time especially, because I don't believe I put the correct amount in last time. I might have put a little more than I should have. So with that said, we are finally starting to get a level on the glass here, but I'll show you guys where it's at right now with the GoPro here. So here is where it currently sits. You can see there, a little above the minimum line. So we'll put a little bit more in there actually. So you can see now, it's gonna be hard to see with the GoPro because it's a little shiny, but it's pretty much right at that max mark. This little line here is the min, here's the max, or there, whichever you wanna use. But you can see it's right there. So we are gonna leave it there. And then our next step is going to be to start it. And let it work its way through. It doesn't need to be started for long, just to get it kind of circulating through all the oil galleys. And then what we'll do is let it sit. So let's do it. And the biggest part that we're gonna look for doing this is that there's no leaks underneath. So when I start it, it builds oil pressure through the filter and everything. So we're gonna make sure that it doesn't leak anywhere, and as long as it doesn't leak, we're good. All right, again, double checking. Level looks pretty darn good, like pretty much right at the max. It might be a little off level just with the stand height and everything, but it's close enough. So let's start it up and see if we have any leakage here. Of course, it has an annual service light, but I'm doing my own, so. All right, here we go. All right, and that gets it circulated enough around. I let it run for about a minute or two. You can see there's no oil in that sight glass, but it is going to settle back down in there. So the plan is I'm just gonna let it settle overnight, and I'll catch it back up with you guys tomorrow morning. Let's do it. All right, we are back. It is the next day at about noon. Waited a little longer, but as you can see, there is still no oil on this sight glass. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to then put oil in, get it up to the top level here, and then run it, and then let it sit again. It's just a waiting game with these bikes, just to make sure that you have it done correctly. So it really is a process, but you want to make sure you're doing it correctly, because if you don't and you overfill it, bad things can happen. Let's fill this up a little more, run it, let it sit some more. We should be good to go. All right, as you can see there we go. We're right in line with the top mark. Let's get it running again. Hold your ears after I get the funnel out, because that would not be good. Good Lord, this thing is stupid loud. Holy crap. It smells wonderful in here too. All right, you can see it's empty, but we're gonna let it sit again for a couple hours. I'll come back out here and check it. I'm willing to bet that it's going to be good. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you guys like what you saw, it's informative, feel free to drop a comment with how you guys do it on your V4 or how your bike differs. I know this one's very, very picky, so feel free to let me know your thoughts. As always, hope you guys have a great day. I'll catch you on the next one.